That was probably the nastiest win I've seen in a while. I'm not gonna lie. The Commanders beat the Saints 20-19 in a game that shouldn't have been this close, and we're gonna talk about that in the video. So, I mean, we can just jump right into it. I guess we can talk about late game. Obviously, we were up 20-13, and we should have. This game should have been over, man. 17-0. We should have had 21 points after our first half coming out of halftime. But for some reason, Cliff decided to go play action on third and goal instead of just running it through the middle with one of our backs, B-Rob or C-Rod, right? So that was not a good play call by Cliff, in my opinion. Cliff was a little bit iffy today, and we'll talk about that, But, just want to talk about really late game. So Spencer Rattler definitely gave the Saints a spark in the second half. Jake Haener was absolutely putrid in the first half, and we should have really scored more points in the first half, but 14 points, it's cool, right? But we should have scored more, definitely in the first half. But Jake Haener just wasn't doing anything for the Saints in the first half, wasn't providing any spark, right? The interception he threw to Mikey Sanderson was awful. He was just chucking that ball downfield. Mikey picked it off, right place, right time, and it was just a bad play. He took some really bad sacks, Jake Haener did, and the Saints definitely made the right decision to pull him, and I was kind of getting nervous that they would pull him because Spencer Rattler, he is scarier than Jake Haener. I'm not saying Rattler's scary or anything like that, but he is a guy to be more, concerned about compared to Jake Haener because he can actually make, plays with his legs, scramble out the pocket, make some throws on the run. Jake Haener really can't do that, right? So definitely more scared or more nervous of Spencer Rattler than Jake Haener, and he did provide the Saints with a spark in the second half. I mean, on the first scoring drive of the game, obviously, Spencer Rattler hit Marquez Valdez-Scantling over the middle for a really long pass. It was a long pass for like 30 to 35 yards, and then on the following play, it was a trick play. Cedric Wilson passed it to Alvin Kamara across the field for a touchdown. Frankie Louva was in coverage. The Saints kind of faked all of our defenders to go one way, and then Cedric Wilson threw it back to Kamara the other way. So that was, I'm not going to lie, that was a nice play design, right? But this game, man, it should not have been this close. Like, Terry and Jaden, they were awesome in the first half. Incredible in the first half. I mean, the first touchdown to Terry, that was a beautiful play by Jaden, man. I mean, scrambling, he dropped the ball, but he recovered it, trying to make some work. He threw it in a tight window to Terry in the end zone, and Terry came down with it, man. It was beautiful. It was just a great play right there. I'm like, wow, I've never seen a Washington quarterback make that type of throw in a while, man. That was a beautiful play by Jaden, beautiful throw by Jaden, fitting it into that tight window, and a great catch by Terry. And then the second one was just a really good play design, just really good throw, and then a really good catch by Terry. So he and Terry were on point in the first half. In the second half, however, and throughout the game, they were trying to hit Terry deep, right? They could not stop Terry. So they were trying to hit Terry deep. And, with Noah Brown being out, and this is, the negative with Noah Brown being out, and, I mean, even with Noah Brown, this was happening, but they're just going to double and triple team Terry most of the time, right? And they were trying to get him deep. However, the Saints were just double teaming him or triple teaming him with a DB or an extra DB, right? So, it was hard to hit Terry downfield, but we had 3 opportunities to do so, and I'll break down one of these, or all 3 of these right now. So, the first one, obviously, Jaden threw the deep pass, and it was an overthrow. It hit off Terry's fingertips. Terry could have maybe come down with it, but it was still like 2-3 inches, too far, right? So I was like, dang, right, that sucks. But they had another opportunity, and on the second one, Terry should have caught that. It was like an inch away from his hands, but that was way closer than the first one. Terry should have caught that, right? He was literally juggling it in his hands. He should have came down with that one. And then the third one, where it was on our final or second to last offensive drive of the game, Jaden threw to Terry deep, and Terry just, well, it was an underthrow by Jaden, right? It was an underthrow by Jaden. Honestly, I thought it could have been PI called right there on the DB because, it was an underthrow. Terry kind of had to come back for the ball or stop, come back for the ball, and the DB kind of, got there a little early, so I thought that they could have called PI there, but it was an underthrow by Jaden nonetheless. So they tried to connect on deep passes in the second half, and they just couldn't, which was, very unfortunate. It really was. And, if we connected on one of those deep passes, the game is over, right? It's 27-13 at this point. The Saints, they aren't scoring again, most likely. Well, they did score again at the end, but they aren't scoring 2 more times, right? They're not winning the game. If we connected on one of those deep passes, the game is over. We win, right? And we still ended up winning, but, let's just get to it right now, right? So on the final drive, and we know we cannot leave the game on the defense's shoulders, on the defense's hands, because we know they're not going to get a stop for us. We know this. Like, we cannot trust this defense to get a stop for us. And Marshawn Lattimore, boy, Marshawn Lattimore is something different, man. He is something different. He did not get targeted a single time today. I literally did not hear his name at all today. Benjamin St-Juste got like 5 snaps today. And we knew that it was going to be Lattimore and Mikey Sanderson on the outside with Noah Igbinoghene on the inside. St-Juste was on the bench, but he got like 5 snaps today. He was called for a face mask in the game. He made more noise than Marshawn Lattimore, and it was a negative play by him. Marshawn Lattimore literally took away the left side of the field. It was beautiful to watch, man. It feels so nice to have a number 1 corner. And even if Lattimore is, making pass defended or deflecting passes or stuff like that, getting interceptions, right? What matters the most is he's locking down the receiver across from him, and he's taking away one side of the field, which we have not had in so long here in Washington. So to have a guy like that is amazing. And yeah, the Saints receivers, they aren't great. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he is a burner though, and Lattimore did a really good job versus him, right? And their other guys aren't amazing, but still, he took away one side of the field. Literally, Rattler and Haener, they were just looking towards the middle of the field or towards the right side of the field. They were completely ignoring the left side of the field because they knew Lattimore was on that side. If they threw it his way, he was going to make a play on the ball, whether that's a pass deflection or forced incompletion or an interception, right? So Lattimore was awesome today. But let's get to late in the game, final drive of the game. It was just, like I said, you just can't trust this defense to get a stop for you late in the game. The Saints got a touchdown, and you know what? On the second to last play before they got a touchdown, the play right before they got a touchdown, for some reason the clock did not stop. Although the guy obviously, inbounds, tackled inbounds, the play didn't stop, or the clock did not stop, right? The clock did stop, which is not supposed to happen. The clock stopped for like a good 2-3 seconds, and then it went again, which kind of gave the Saints enough time to spike the ball. So really, the game should have been over, right? The Saints should not have had the opportunity to spike the ball. But for some reason, the clock stopped, right? The clock stopped for like a good 1, 2, maybe even 3 seconds. And I was so confused by that. I was like, am I the only person seeing this or something? Like, I don't know. Is there something wrong with my TV? But it was really that. Like, literally, the clock stopped for a good 2 to 3 seconds, and the Saints had an opportunity to spike the ball, and obviously got a touchdown there. And that touchdown, man, Derek Forrest got cooked there. He got beat there by Foster Moreau. But luckily, obviously, they did not get the 2-point conversion, and we won the game. And y'all know that I don't really like to blame the refs for stuff that happens, because we made a lot of, self-inflicting mistakes today. We had way too many flags today. Like, we were undisciplined today. We were very undisciplined today. The roughing the passer calls on Dante Fowler Jr., I thought those were bogus. The first one, kind of see it, hit him in the neck. The second one, that was just ridiculous. It wasn't even a late hit or anything like that, or super late. Like, I did not see the roughing the passer there, but whatever, right? The holdings were egregious. Nick Allegretti, he had a holding. Brandon Coleman, he had a holding. Brandon Coleman was awful today. The O-line overall today was pretty bad. Now, not all of the sacks, they gave up were on them. Obviously, they allowed 8 sacks today. Some of them were on Jaden. At times, Jaden did have to get rid of the ball faster. So not all the sacks were on them. However, they were really bad today. Like, the Saints were getting really good pressure on Jaden. Their D coordinator was doing a good job of sending blitzes, and their guys were getting home. Chase Young, he had 2 sacks today. Brian Bresee, he was a force up front. And not having Tyler Biotish today really hurt us a whole bunch, man. I said it before the game, like our run game, like I said it to myself, like our run game might not be the same today without Tyler Biotish. Biotish is a vital part to our run blocking, and without him, we may have a hard time today, right? And Brian Brissy, he's really good. John Ridgeway, he's gonna come in sometimes. He's pretty good, right? We know. So, it was gonna be a tough task to kind of, guard the Saints' interior defensive line without Biotish, and it was. Brian Brissy, he was a force up front, and their other defensive tackles as well. But, we just weren't good up front today. We were better pass blocking. All 8 sacks, once again, weren't on the O-line. Some of them were on Jaden, but not overall a great day for the O-line, especially run blocking. Run blocking, it was not great today. Like B-Rob, he had 21 carries for 65 yards. That's not great. That's probably like 3.6, maybe 3.5 yards a carry. I'm not sure, but it just wasn't great. So run blocking today just wasn't great today. The Saints did do a really good job of, clogging up our run spaces and spaces for, obviously, B-Rob to run through. So, yeah, O-line overall just wasn't a great day for them. But, yeah, going back to the refs real quick, the refs weren't good today, right? And on the final or the second to last play for the Saints on their final drive, it was just crazy how the clock stopped for like 2 to 3 seconds, right? Which gave them an opportunity to spike the ball. So, the refs were bad today. Receiving wise, Terry had a great day, but he should have had like 3 or 4 touchdowns today. Like, he should be at 1,000 yards. He only needed 31 more yards. I think he still needs 31 more yards, and unfortunately, he just didn't get there today, right? Which, I was a little upset at that. Like, dang, man, he should have had another touchdown today, man. 3 touchdowns for Terry would have been his first 3 touchdown performance, man. He was running so wide open on 2 of those deep passes. Really, all 3 of them, right? Like, dang, man. Got to get that connection, right? Got to get that connection. At times today, and with the O-line, I say that all of their sacks they allowed weren't on them. A lot of the sacks were coverage sacks, and like I said, that's, without Noah Brown, teams can just double and triple team Terry, right? And I'm not saying they weren't doing that, when Noah Brown was on the field, but especially with Noah Brown not on the field and KJ Osborne having to wait another week because he's not acclimated to the offense yet, today it showed that there just wasn't a ton of open receivers for Jaden to throw to, and there were a lot of coverage sacks because of that. So, receivers overall, some guys made some big plays. Diami, he had a pretty good day. Zach Ertz, hopefully, he's good. He suffered a concussion. Diami also went out with an injury, but he did come back. On the defensive side of the ball, Jeremy Chin got injured with a concussion. We're going to talk about him. But, yeah, overall, receiving-wise, it was cool. Could have played better. Would have liked to see guys get open more, right? And part of that, Cliff got to do a better job. I did not love the play calling today from Cliff. I thought he was all right today, I'll say. The runs on first down I didn't love because the run game just wasn't working all day. I would have preferred if you ran the ball on the inside more instead of on the outside, because the Saints, they do have some pretty speedy edge rushers like Chase Young. He has speed, so he can get to the outside pretty fast, right? So didn't really love the fact that we had a lot of outside runs today instead of inside runs. So, Cliff could have been better today, but overall, I will say he was not terrible today. As for the defensive side of the ball, talked about them a little bit earlier, but I'm going to speed this up with them real quick. Marshawn Lattimore, man, it's so great to have him in the mix, man. He is so good. He is as advertised, man. He really is. Mikey Sanders still, he got an interception today. He had a good day. Jeremy Chin didn't have a great day. He was getting beat in coverage a couple of times. And Jeremy Chin in coverage overall this season hasn't been the greatest. I think I like him better in the box when he's blitzing, when he's covering, or when he's blitzing in the box, making tackles, stopping the run, things of that nature, right? So don't love him in coverage. Obviously, you're going to have him in coverage at times, but, overall, he wasn't amazing today. But he did have a sack today and 2 TFLs. Bobby Wagner, he was cool today. Frankie Louvu, outside of the touchdown, he gave it to Alvin Kamara. And, everyone was kind of fooled to going one way, and then he threw it across his body. Cedric Wilson did to Alvin Kamara. So, really no stopping him there. Derek Forrest, he wasn't good today. He really wasn't good today. He was not great in coverage. Doris Armstrong, he got a sack today. That was really nice to see. He also had 2 TFLs. Quan Martin and Jeremy Chin weren't good today. On the D pass from Spencer Rattler to Marcos Valdez-Scantling in the second half, in the third quarter, that was terrible safety play by them there. Like, I don't know what they were doing there, but it was terrible safety play, right? So I never want to see that again. Noah Igbenogany, he was pretty solid today. Dante Fowler Jr., I talked about the 2 roughing the passer calls. I did not agree with neither of them. The first one, I could kind of see it, but the second one was just a terrible call by the refs. I did not see it there. And then that is really it for the defense. Spencer Rattler, once again, he definitely provided the Saints a spark in the second half. And, Rattler, man, and not Rattler, sorry, the Saints, look, they fight for Dan Rizzi. Dan Rizzi got those guys playing. They really do. So I got to give them credit as well. But this game just shouldn't have been close at all. Greg Joseph, we still need a kicker, man. 54 yards is a long kick. And I didn't disagree with the decision for, DQ to kick it there. But look, although this game, it should not have ended 20-19. It shouldn't have been this close at all. And I knew this game was going to be closer than, what people were predicting. Some people had us winning by like 20 plus points. I knew it was not going to be like that, right? Because the Saints, they haven't playing better, with Dan Rizzi as their interim head coach. But still, the game shouldn't have, been this close today, right? But a win is a win. We moved to 9-5, right? Play like this again, and we're not doing anything, right? We cannot play like this again. We cannot make the amount of mistakes we made in this game ever again. Can't do that. And especially with us playing Philly next Sunday, the Falcons the week after, if we want to go to the playoffs, we cannot play like this. We can't. But, once again, win is a win, 9-5, and that is really it for today's recap video of today's stressful game. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment down below your thoughts from today's game. And other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.